Hello everyone, and welcome to another edition of my live drawing in front of you. First off, if you like my channel, please take a moment and subscribe, because this is really my way of letting people know that I exist, that I do this thing. And the more subscribers I have, the more motivation I get, and it really helps me, and it only takes a second. So if you like what I do, please take a moment and subscribe to the channel. Next off, I wanted to remind everyone that the contest is still on to win 2 copies of my book. All you need to do is go to the New School of the Gifted, and there will be a link in the description, but you go to the New School of the Gifted podcast page, and you simply share this here post, and then you will get a chance to win 2 copies, like number 1 and number 2 of my book. The ones I gave them are in French, so fortunately, this is unless you speak French, I guess my comics don't have a lot of words, so I guess it's still can be understood. But also, it's also open only to residents of Quebec. So, go ahead, share it. You never know. Even if you are not necessarily. If you don't speak French, maybe you know somebody who does and might be interested. So really, any shares will help. There's a few things I want to talk about today. The first thing is this new thing that has been that everybody has been talking about, which is called Coppa. And what is Coppa? Well, Coppa is the Child Protection Online Act or something like that. And what basically happened is that to get an account on YouTube, you need to be more than 13-year-old. But, as we all know and did as kids, we will create accounts even if we're not 13, and parents don't necessarily stop their kid from watching YouTube. And so what happened is that YouTube was able to know when a kid was watching, and then they started serving them advertisement. And serving advertisements to kid is extremely legislated, and then they kind of got in trouble with the FTC, and now they can no longer they had to take some steps forward. So their steps forward is completely washing their hands of the problem and putting it on us, the creators. Which really sucks, and so now they have asked us to mark all content, and they call it all content made for kids, and that is extremely misleading. I thought in the beginning that so they're gonna find a way to not show this content if it's not made for kids or something like that, but no, it's not that at all. So what that made for kids thing means is that they will, if there's any reason, if the subject of the video is something that kids are interested about or attracted to, then it counts as made for kids, which is completely insane, at least in my opinion. As a kid, I watched a ton of very graphic and violent stuff, which it was definitely not made for kids. I did it anyway, and I don't have I'm not a big fan of censorship. I thought it was fine. I didn't turn out like a crazy maniac because of it, so I don't think that's bad. But anyway, the law is the law, and then they stated that any content that can be attractive to kids should be marked as made for kids. And so you look at what I do. I make comics, and people are extremely prejudiced toward comics, and often say, "Oh, this is just for kids. This is here we say a little Mickeys, like the old Mickey Mouse comic. You know, people still call them sometimes like that, which is extremely demeaning to me as an artist, because I'm definitely not trying to make comics for kids. I love it when kids like what I do, but I know that some of what I do is definitely not appropriate for kids, according to a lot of parents, and I completely respect that, and they have a right to show their kids whatever they want, and I don't think my content is something that parents will want to show their kids in certain cases. And so I am stuck in a situation where I have to mark all my content that I created as made for kids, because all my content is about comics, and comics is a subject that might interest kids. And so what does that mean? So that means that what does a video made for kids look like? Well, first of all, no comments are allowed. And as you might have noticed, the live chat is out now. So I cannot have a YouTube live chat, which sucks, because one of the big reasons why I want to do these things is to interact with you guys. And now I don't have a built-in live chat, which was a cool function. And if you've been, if it's your first time here, cool, I can chat with him today. Well, you can't through YouTube, which is really sucky. So what I suggest we do is, we're in an age of social media, right? So you guys can simply at me at my Twitter. For example, I'll show this later. I closed it. Damn it. You guys can simply send me a tweet, and I'll with any question you might have, and I'll answer it on live. So it doesn't have to be much more complicated than that, until we find a better solution. I've been playing with the idea of having a Discord channel for the comic that could do as well. I don't know how many people will actually subscribe to that, so I don't know. But for now, I think I will just suggest you guys to tweet at me if you have any question during the live chat, during the live stream, and then I will answer that question. So hopefully, it's not perfect, but at least we have some way of making this a little bit more interactive. So that about covers it for that Coppa thing. I've put a link in the description to somebody who explained it a lot better than me. Obviously, nobody can give you legal advice unless they're a lawyer. So, if you're, really you really want to find out more, I suggest you look it up by yourself, and if you really need to, consult a lawyer. But as far as I'm concerned, I really cannot take the chance to. It's really not worth for me to take a chance of those gigantic fines that they are claiming they're not gonna give directly to content creators, and that fine is $43,000 US. Yes, that is completely insane. This is more than a lot of people make in a year, and they want to fine they claiming that they're gonna fine people this amount for each video that goes against the Coppa thing. So this is really insane. So I can't take that kind of risk. I'm just gonna mark everything as made for kids, which is completely stupid, and I will claim in the beginning that it's actually not made for kids, but that I have to do it because I'm forced to by the FTC. So that's how I understand this thing. That's how I'm gonna handle it. We'll see in the next months how it develops. Maybe maybe it won't be as bad as people think. So often it isn't. But I guess we will see. I think that's about covers my little rant this morning about that. Something great happened yesterday, and you might have had a glimpse of it. I received this great fan art by Tony Sizzle, who came in the channel in the live chat last week, and it made me really happy. So thanks a lot, Tony, for this. I think it definitely made my week, and I will be. I posted it on the website, and I'm even thinking of having it as part of the next book if you want, like as maybe a fan art gallery. I don't know, or maybe as a standalone print when the next book comes out, which should be in a couple of years. But yeah, so I will keep that in the bank and find a way to use it later for sure. And this really made my week, as I think, and I'm really happy about it. So thank you so much for this. So yeah. Well, that was a big rant. So currently I'm working on page 14 of the comic. The girl Clara is escaping some giant rats, and she's falling through a hole. So I'm kind of drawing that hole, just to give you a little bit of context what I'm working on currently. I had another thing I want to talk about, because this week I saw a post that troubled me a little bit, and this is something that's been talked about for a while now, for a couple of years. A lot of established artists are finding it harder and harder to make a living. And I'm not talking about like some newcomers. I'm not talking about like people with no experience, or it's been people who have been established in the business for years and years, and are finding it difficult to make a living out of comic. And this is coming out. I'm hearing a lot coming from France, where the comic market is really developed. And there is a lot of stuff coming out, and a lot of people are blaming that. They're saying, "Oh, it's because there's too much stuff coming out, and the quality is not there, because they let anybody make a comic," and they kind of give this kind of argument. That doesn't make me happy. I mean, Look at what was coming out in the 70s and the 50s and the 60s. There was a bunch of bad comic art then. There is a bunch of bad comic art today. That really didn't change. Obviously, if you do a search and try to find some work from the 70s, the bad stuff was, people didn't keep it. They mostly threw it away, or they don't remember it because it wasn't memorable. So what is still available today from the 70s, from the 60s, stuff like that, is stuff that was exceptional. So of course, if you go to most places, that's what you're gonna see. But just go to a like any Goodwill store and go try to find what's there, like the old comics there, and you'll see that often the old stuff doesn't really, is not necessarily very good. And I often thought that actually it was a little bit more forgiving at the time. You didn't need to be. There was a bunch of artists who weren't as talented as a lot are today. I think that the base, the competition base is extremely bigger than it was in those days. Now we're competing against a global market. Before, artists had to compete against their city, or maybe their region or something like that. But now they have to compete against the whole world. I mean, you see artists from Indonesia, or I just said it as an example, and they're exquisite artists, terribly talented. And of course, the living standard there are much cheaper. It's much cheaper to live there. So if they can, they can sell their comic from there as a base of operation, and proportionally make a lot more money than people living out, like in France or here, for example. There's even artists from France who moved here because it was just the cost of living was just a little bit less. So that's their way of trying to balance this. So it makes sense to go live in a place where the cost of living is cheaper, so that you can still make comics, because this is the reality. We live in a global economy, and people will compete in the world. I mean, it's hard. It's damn hard. I can't afford to move. I won't be able to do that, and a lot of people won't be able to do that as well. I have responsibilities here. I have responsibilities to my family. I have my job and I have everything. I can't do that. So I am in a situation where I can't really change my lifestyle as far as I can see. So you don't start blaming artists for the quality of the work. Your opinion of the quality of the work. I don't think it's worse or better than it was back then. It's just that actually, no, I think it's better than it was back then. I think there's a lot more quality work coming out. But that's just the reality of what it is. And then another thing they were complaining about was crowdfunding. Okay, so I mean, I am a crowdfunder, obviously. I've crowdfunded two books, and they're complaining about, like, stop annoying us with your crowdfunding thing. I mean, I don't want to annoy anybody. I really hate that. I really don't want to annoy anybody. I try to focus my campaigns as much as I can. If I see that somebody is not interested, I do my best not to push it. But then, if I don't push it enough, some people say, "Hey, I didn't notice that your campaign was on. I've just been talking about it for the last 20 days," and people say, "Hey, I didn't see it." And then this puts me in a kind of crap situation. I mean, what am I supposed to do? I can't talk about it too much, but if I don't, then nobody finds out. So I don't know. This is really not an easy situation to do. I mean, I get that. I get that some people get annoyed by the non-stop campaigns, and I am I am definitely a target for these campaigns because I'm an artist, because I'm interested in comics. I get a million friend requests from people, and it's often like they send me a friend request. Okay, so I accept. 5 minutes later, I get a like my page. 10 minutes later, I get support my campaign. It's like, what? Who the hell are you? I mean, how can you like send a friend request to somebody and 5 minutes later ask them for a favor? Don't do that, people. Really, that sucks. I mean, don't do that. That's really a bad idea. It gives a bad image to crowdfunders. It gives a bad image to you. Nobody likes that. So I get that, you know, making comment is not easy, obviously. I mean, it takes a lot of work, and it's frustrating, and it's the war on attrition. But you cannot. You have to remember that not everybody will be willing and interested to look at your work without any kind of introduction. So it takes a lot of time to build an audience, and I've been doing it for years and years, you know, and I'm still far from where I could make this even remotely like a career. So it just takes time, and it's hard. And if you when you want to do your own thing, well, you just gotta hang on, I guess. Yeah. Nobody's ever said it was easy. I was watching. So that's pretty cool. The new episodes of The Toys That Made Us are out, and as you may know, I'm a big toy lover, and I am also a turtle lover. So there is a new episode about turtle, and they covered. There's a lot of segments with Kevin Eastman, Peter Laird, and it's really cool to hear them talk about it. I mean, Turtle I'm pretty sure is the most successful independent comic ever produced. It was so for some reason it got like crazy popular, and they had so much success with it, and this is great. I mean, this is a great success story about an independent comic, and I think that's what everyone wishes for, but obviously it won't happen like very often, right? But it could happen, and I think that's what a lot of people are dreaming about, and you never know if it's gonna happen, you know. The only way to truly fail is to stop trying. I think I heard this from a talk. I think Steve Jobs said it in one of his or I don't know if he did many, but in one of the university speech he did that I listened to. I thought it was very true. I mean, it's hard, but I mean, if you stop trying, that's really how you're saying that you give up and you failed. So I'm continuing, you know, trying, and I'm doing the best I can. It won't, you know, it doesn't please everybody. Some people get annoyed. I get that. I respect that. I try not to be annoying, and if anything I do is annoying, you know, feel free to let me know that you're not interested. you know, and you can do so. I appreciate if it's done politely, because sometimes people can be pretty rude, but I totally want to respect everybody's privacy, and I don't want to be annoying. So I just wanted that to be known. And I've received so many positive comments saying that people that like my stuff, and they want to be informed, but it's really hard for me to know when you don't when that happens, because people don't necessarily let me know all the time, right? But if you do let me know, then I'll make sure to keep you in the loop. I have a newsletter that you can subscribe to on my website. There's also a link in my my Facebook page, so feel free to register for that, and you'll be kept informed of any of my projects. Yeah, and when the book is finally ready to be sent to the printer, but that might take a while. So now I'm like inking, I'm still sketching on page 14 of a 48-page book, just to give you an idea. But I think this story is coming out pretty nice. Okay, so this is this. So I'm kind of going on the trope of the buried city, which we saw in they did it very well in Futurama. Like the whole old New York was just buried under the city. They also had it in Judge Dredd. So in my comic, there is kind of an underworld, so that's where my character is now. And I have Copacabana in my head. Do you know why? Because of that Coppa thing. Somebody should make a parody song like that. It would be hilarious. Music and laughter and old Jedi masters at the Coppa. I'm just checking my my channel to see how it looks like. Yeah. I still see the chat there. Does it even work? Because I said it was for kids only. Testing. Hello, Jedi Masters at the Coppa. I'll test it. Checking my my channel to see how it looks like. So it seemed like I can still use the chat even though YouTube said I wouldn't be able to. Huh. Anyway, okay. Well, anyway, I'm gonna go through all my content later and then flag everything as made for kids. Stupid thing. Yeah, it seems like the live chat is still working, which is weird since they said it wouldn't be working. Huh. Maybe they didn't get their shit together yet, which wouldn't surprise me one bit. They really need to give a break to small creators. I mean, help them, please. I mean, this is how innovation gets made. You know, small creators are what makes the world. The biggest revolution in technology all happened by small. You know, when they give power to small developers, small inventors. So you know, yeah, I hope that this gets, you know, resolved in some positive way. But it seems like stuff only gets worse. Well, I don't mean to sound so negative. I hate that. Just a little bit depressed by this whole thing. Pretty cool to have like a big panel like this, like on the side of a page. I don't do that too often. I thought it really matched the idea here that I was trying to pursue. There you go. A little Easter egg. Little mouse hanging out there. Okay. So she falls like this. Maybe I just need to raise this a little bit. Music and laughter and all the masters. Oh, there's something pretty cool happening this weekend if you are in the Montreal region. There's a book fair that I attended many times. Not this weekend, unfortunately. But if you're in the Montreal region, I really recommend you checking it out. It's called Exposin. I'll put it here. So this is like a small book fair, and a lot of you see they say 300 editors, publisher, but it's usually all small press. I assisted to, I think I went like maybe 5 times, and it's a really nice show. I really recommend you checking it out. It's quite fun. I didn't go this year. Mainly because I already do an event during the summer, and it's a lot of what can I say? It's difficult for the family to, because I'm not there during the weekend. I need to help out to cleaning the house, making food for the week, everything. So all these events take a big toll on everybody. So this is one big reason why I don't go to as many events as I probably should. But I might stop by tomorrow and say hello to some of my friends there. I did apply to 2 events for next summer. The MCAF, the Montreal Festival de Bande Dessinée de Montréal, at in the Jean Talon Park. So I absolutely want to go because this has been the best event for me in terms of sale and in terms of finding my audience more. This seems like more people who attend there seems to be more open to what I do rather than Exposin, which is I think probably in more at how would I describe it? I love it, but it's not exactly what I do. So they're often, I feel like what works better there is more hands-on stuff, like maybe more crafty, like handmade covers or small books, those kind of thing. What I do is probably too mainstream, although I wouldn't fit in Comic-Con either, I think, because it's not enough mainstream. Yeah, so I kind of do my own thing. It's hard to find a good match, but the Montreal comic art fair in has been good to me. I think I found my audience there more than anywhere else. So I absolutely will go again this summer. I already bought my. I already reserved my table. So. I also requested sent an application to the Toronto Comic Art Fair, which is supposed to be a great event as well. And I hope I can make it this year. If they accept me, because they are extremely what's the word? Like, a lot of people want to go, but very few actually can, because they have limited space. So they do like rotate. Like if you've been before, they might not let you. If you've been like the year before, they might not let you in the next year, so that they can alternate and give a chance for more people to go, which I think is great. I hope it applies to everybody. Oh, and next weekend in Montreal is the big book fair, the professional book fair, which is the whole other animal. It is gigantic, and so many stuff there. I don't know if I can ever actually go there as a. I don't know. Would be nice. And this is why I like working on computers. The application. How awesome is this? I don't have to redraw the same thing 3 times. Do I still need to know how to draw? Of course. At least I don't have to waste my time on repetitive tasks. As I said often, working with computers is not a way to avoid to learn how to draw. It's simply a way to make repetitive tasks easier. You know, stuff that takes a lot of time, but it can be calculated in a logical way, can be done much easier. like perspective is all math, so it makes sense that they have very good perspective tools because the recipes are known. I mean, the 3D has been going on forever. I mean, it's so advanced now that it's pretty easy to translate that to a program, to an art program. Well, I guess it was kind of easy. And considering the amount of time it takes to actually build a grid manually. And I get that some people like the feel of paper. I like the feel of paper too. I just did this this drawing on I posted on Instagram and also Facebook. I'll show you. Just yesterday night. I thought it came out pretty nice. I'm gonna send it to a friend next week. Let me find it for you. Yeah, I was pretty happy with it. I love to work with ink. I mean that's where my first artist name came out, and it's fun. It's fun. It's really fun. But it is limiting in so many ways. Like for example, I really don't like how the sword is so close to the head here. It really doesn't work for me. If I had made this with a computer, I could have moved the guy, played a little bit, try to make the composition a little bit more fluid. As it is now, it's not as perfect as I would like it to be. I would probably have changed a few things, but I think it came out pretty well. And I don't know if you can tell who that is, but this is Sauron fighting Isildur in Lord of the Rings. So I didn't want to try. I tried to do my own Sauron rather than using the Peter Jackson or whoever the concept artist was. Sauron. I try to make my own. He's more elvish, which kind of makes sense to me because I don't know. I don't know. It just made sense to me. I'm not sure how my mind works. There we go. But so this page's pencils were really not very detailed, so I'm spending a lot more time here than other pages. But this is not very difficult for me. It's mainly detailing and stuff like that, so I really struggle when it comes to perspective. Like one page that took me a long time to do was this one. Like this whole place here took me a long time to do. I had to work in many different layers to try to figure out where everything's stood. Maybe I probably still have the layers. So before we go, I can show you a little bit of that. where is it? Ah, this one. Okay. So there's a lot of layers. So this is just so these are just like the finished kind of layers. And I'll put them in a folder so I don't forget which one are which. I probably don't need to keep them separate here, but I'll just... It's easier to keep them separate than to unseparate them, if you follow my meaning. Okay, so let's look at what was under there. This was the perspective grid. And then you see something I do all the time, which is using colors to separate the elements so that I know where everything stands in context to each other. I do that a lot. And then it really helps to make sense of the lines where there's multiple colors like this. And this is like the X method to find out the center of a thing in perspective. So I know that the door is centered here. So it's sometimes I make a like layer, but it didn't really need to be a layer. This was a basics construction, and then I built on top of that. So probably if I'd start from like the bottom. See, this was the original kind of sketch. And then on top of that, I kind of rebuilt the columns. And then I wasn't really satisfied, so I changed the perspective. See, this is the stairs behind the columns. Just cleaning it up a little bit, making colors to find out where everything is. And then I think at this point I actually decided to change my perspective grid. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, see? So I actually changed my mind, and yeah, so it's hard sometimes to put the grid exactly as I want it. Anyway, small glimpse into a construction here. I didn't make any change to this page. Oh yeah, I did actually. I created a folder. Okay. So I'm very close to being done here. I really thank you again for joining me. I think it's fun to do this, and it's a good way for me to kind of think back where I am, where I'm going. I guess it's good therapy for me as well to get some stuff out. But I enjoyed talking to you about this, and if you enjoyed it too, please please subscribe, reach out to me on social media. Now that with that stupid Coppa thing, we won't be able to have comments on the videos, but that doesn't mean that we can't communicate in some other ways. You know, there are so many social medias out there. You can reach out to me on any one of them. I'll be glad to have a chat with you. And what else do I need to say? Oh yeah, don't forget to take part in the contest if you're interested in winning 2 copies of my books. I believe the contest will end soon though, so don't waste too much time on that. What else? This week, if you look at the Instagram, you'll see me working on these panel here. I'll probably have that page done by next week, and then we can start looking at the next one, which is a little bit similar. Actually, it's kind of simple, so I might be able to finish these 2 pages this week. Maybe not the last panel because there's more perspective going on here. Maybe not. Maybe. So, with all that said, I thank you so much for being here. I love to share this with you, and I hope we can talk again soon on social media. So, goodbye, everybody. I will be closing the stream now. Bye bye.